Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. This is your host, Matt Brown. I hope everyone's had an amazing start to their week so far. I can tell you this, I don't know what it's been the last 2 weeks in the DMV area, and I think anyone who watches this, who lives around here knows that around 4:30, around 4:30, 5 o'clock every day, there's just some tremendous thunderstorm that I don't even know how to describe the power of, rolls through here for the last 2 weeks, but it's killing me. And my sinuses have just been, I can't even explain it, off the charts. My allergies have. I don't know. It's just some godly rolling thunderstorm just rolling through, rolling through Maryland for the last 2 weeks at 5 p.m. I don't know if it's happening to anyone else, but I'm sure as hell it's happening to me. But let's start off today. Today is my first Top 10 Tuesday. We are going to be doing this every single week during the NFL season on Tuesdays, constantly updating rankings. And tomorrow is Why Not Wednesday. So make sure to go to my podcast account, Talk of the Town _pod. DM me any questions you guys want to have answered here on the podcast. More than happy to answer them. Remember, eventually one day, that account's going to be flooded with DMs, so it's going to be hard to get to your guys' questions. So make sure to fire in as many questions. It can be about anything, advice, life, football, baseball. It does not matter to me. Just fire in those DMs, and I'll answer them all here tomorrow for you. So, yeah, let's get into Top 10 Tuesday. A little bit about what it's about. So I have 4 I'm doing today. I'm going to let you guys pick the 5th one in the comments. Make sure to leave in the comments which one you want. Make sure, though, it's something I can update weekly, like top 10 pass rusher, stuff like that. I can constantly update it, highlight plays, anything you guys want. Just let me know. Again, I'll decide by next week. I don't know if I'm going to do a top 10 Tuesday next week, just because we're not in season. It's going to be hard to constantly update the rankings, especially if nothing's going on. But best believe, I think we'll come back to it maybe a week before the season. But every single week during the NFL season, I'll probably even end up doing it during the NBA season too. But especially the NFL season, every week, right here is updated rankings for Top 10 Tuesday. So let me tell you guys about the 4 I have so far. We're gonna do top 10 quarterbacks, top 10 running backs, top 10 receivers, and top 10 teams right now, heading in to the 2025 NFL season. Again, I have hot takes on here, but leave in the comments what you guys would change. I can't wait to hear it. I love healthy debates on this channel. Yeah, I said in the last podcast, I can barely read my own handwriting half the time. So let's roll into the top 10 quarterbacks coming in to the 2025 NFL season. At number 10, I have Justin Herbert. Look, he would be a little higher for me. I mean, he was 24 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, somewhere right around there. I know that he only had 3 picks. I think that is dead on, 24 to 3. But Mike Williams retiring a couple days ago was worrisome for me. And I think for a lot of people who follow the Chargers, and even if you don't follow them, they're kind of back to where they were at last year. I mean, that was the thing this year they had going on was, they're going to update the receiver or upgrade the receiving room. And, they'd have a more explosive offense. Now Mike Williams retires soon. Who knows if he even had really anything left in the tank anyway. But still, that's a tough loss. Now you kind of have to rely on Matt McConkey, who I love. I think the dude's an absolute is a stud, but yeah, I don't know. It's not all Herbert's fault, but he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's top 10 to me for sure, but got to start winning something. A playoff game would be a start. At number 9, I do have Matt Stafford. The age, it just worries me a little bit. I think he'll be just as good, maybe if he is any better, a tad better. I think he's going to be right around the same as he was last year, which is a top 10 quarterback. So, but I'm telling, the quarterbacks are so talented in the NFL anymore. The thing is that you have the most talented ones, and then the ones that are at the bottom of the barrel are awful. Like, you can't even watch them because you can't compare them. It's so bad. And Stafford's one of those guys. So where if he goes against one of those guys at the bottom of the barrel, he's going to torture him. He just is. You had no chance of winning. So yeah, I Stafford at 9. Again, the weapons he's throwing to is really good. His offensive line's good. So I think he'll be around 4,000, maybe 4,400 yards. I think he'll be around 30 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a really good year. The age is a little concerning, so I might have to pull back on that statement about midway through the year. I don't think so, but we'll see. At number 8, I have Jordan Love. I thought Jordan Love is a little overrated going into some people's rankings. I think 8 is about a good spot. I was debating on putting him a little lower. I think Stafford's better than him, but going into this year, I think them drafting that Texas receiver, I can't remember his name, but drafting him, I think it was Matthew Golden. Was it? Correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I think that's a big boost in the receiving department. Christian Watson can't stay healthy to save his life, and they've been relying on him to step up the last, I think, since Aaron Rodgers was quarterback. And he can't stay healthy. So that's kind of difficult for Love, but I'll tell you though, Love, wow, man, can he just make it's just such a dumb decision sometimes. You sit there and you're like, what the hell was that? You watch it and it's just like, what was he even thinking? Then you'll just be like, he'll do that and make some incredible throw over double coverage on the run. And you're like, dude, this guy's like Favre Rodgers out here. He's had a lot of comparisons to Favre at the beginning of his career, which I understand, but man, people forget how good Brett Favre was because, while he's been very good, he still is not Brett Favre. But he is number 8. I think he's going to have a big year. He was injured last year. You remember, I think the first game of the year, he slipped on that god-awful Brazil field they were playing on. Because they have another game on this year. I don't know, the NFL. Wow, sad. But so at number 7, I have Baker. I have my list right here. Sorry, it takes me a minute because I can barely read my own handwriting. I have Baker Mayfield. One of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. While he's starting to finally get his recognition in the league, I think people still really underrate how good he is. He was the passing touchdowns leader this year, but he had 41 touchdowns. And Mike Evans was hurt a majority of the year. I mean, imagine if he had him. He may have had 46, 40. He may be pushing 50 touchdowns. Excuse me. He may be pushing 50 touchdowns last year. And now he has the Ohio State receiver they drafted, Mike Evans, who might take a little step back. But again, he's always going to be consistent. He's probably going to be at 1,000 yards again this year. I'm sure he will be, showing no signs of slowing down. Chris Godwin comes back. I like Cade Otton. I actually think he's a pretty underrated tight end. He's one of the better ones in the league for sure. Tristan Wirfs being out though. Sport Lacey thing, I remember, it made the craziest sound. But Tristan Wirfs being hurt to start the year is a little worrisome, for sure. It's like he's definitely their best offensive lineman, but Baker, mobile, tough. The stiff arm he had last year against San Francisco, that throw on the run, man, he can improvise. And his arm talent is out of control, accurate, just a tough guy in there. Baker, I was debating on putting Baker higher. I think he's going to have a seriously good year. So, but I'm not going to put him higher than Jalen Hurts, who, again, I feel like is a tad overrated only because, that offensive line he's playing behind. You see him sometimes, he just sits behind there forever, and just gets to survey the field just constantly. So, but, some people don't even have him in their top 10, like top 15. Some people have it like 16, 17. I think it's egregious, to be honest. I think he is a really good quarterback. He's strong. I mean, I know people kind of bash him for the tush push. I get it, but it's being proven not everybody can do it. Teams go to do it, and they cannot do it. I mean, he is a strong, tall, big quarterback who, again, you see him, I mean, what he's squatting, like 600 pounds or something. I mean, he's a specimen back there, and his passing has gotten a lot better. I was never a Jalen Hurts hater, but I wasn't necessarily the believer that like a lot of Eagles fans definitely are. But I do understand. Like I seen him, especially in the Super Bowl, really changed my perspective. And the passes he was dropping in, just throwing long ball touchdowns in the bucket. You know, again, I do think he is a top 10 quarterback, and you have to put some respect on his name. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's why I got him at 6. But at 5, I do have Jay Daniels. Again, this is upcoming this year. What I think, and I think Jay Daniels is going to be an MVP candidate. I think he'll get some MVP votes for sure. Again, having Debo and them now is a game changer. While Debo may not be what he was a few years ago, it's always good to have someone like that to throw to. He changes the game plan for defenses. And I know the memes and him going around being fat are a thing, but you know, he did have some really productive games last year. You know, you do have to give him some credit. I think he will in Washington, especially with Jay Daniels on the ball and, you know, his rushing ability. The team's only gotten better in the offseason, so I think he's going to have a really good year. I think the Commanders are going to be very competitive. At number 4, I have Joe Burrow. Again, he's going to be an MVP candidate. He may even win the MVP. You know, I'm kind of torn between 3 of them for the MVP, 4 of them. He's one of them for sure. You know, he's going to throw probably 40 touchdowns. Ja'Marr Chase probably will go for the Triple Crown again. I mean, they're just as long as he has Ja'Marr Chase and, you know, they re-signed T. Higgins, and that team's offense is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Burrow is one of the more accurate quarterbacks we've ever seen. But can he stay healthy is another thing. You see, he's had some injury history over the last couple of years, that's for sure. So, number 3, I had Josh Allen, former or the MVP. Again, really the top 4, you can really move around however you want it. I wouldn't complain. But, you know, Josh Allen is an all-time talent. He's going to be in the all-time quarterbacks for the 2020s and just all-time in general. He's on an amazing run right now. But again, him, and I had at number 2, I have Lamar Jackson. Okay, you have Lamar Jackson, number 2. Again, those 2 are dominant. I'm one of those guys. I do think Lamar is better than Josh Allen. But again, you're splitting hairs here talking about who's better than each other. Like, they're both absolutely incredible quarterbacks. I know I'm kind of flip-flopping between both, but they're both so interchangeable. They're just incredible talents, you know, and I don't think anyone can disagree with that. With a very talented teams, and just even when they don't, they put the team on their back. They're just incredible quarterbacks and really deserve a lot more credit than they get. Those two get a lot of hate. Lamar gets a lot more hate than Josh Allen. You know, nothing against Josh Allen, but he does, and he really doesn't deserve it. I get he doesn't necessarily have the playoff success, but both of them don't. Both of them do not have playoff success. So, yeah, I have 3 Josh Allen, 2 Lamar, and 1 Patrick Mahomes. While he may not be better statistically than them both, when it comes to facing up against them, he kicks their ass. In the playoffs, I know the whole thing, the refs, the flags, I get it. But again, and I am not remotely a Chiefs fan. The Chiefs aggravate the piss out of me to no end, but I have to give them credit where credit's due. Until Allen or Lamar beats them in the playoffs, or the Chiefs, you know, don't get past the wild card round or past to where they're at, I can't put Mahomes lower than 1. I can't. Even if statistics, you know, are they're not even really like that close. Like Lamar and Allen had way better seasons the last couple of years. Mahomes makes it happen when it counts. So I have to give it to him. So that's my top 10 quarterbacks going into the season. Of course, I change that every Tuesday during the NFL season. So lots of updated rankings coming this season. Lots of controversy on this channel. So my top 10 running backs, 10, maybe kind of a surprise. If you watch ball, you know, I had Chuba Hubbard. If you watched him on the Panthers last year, that offensive line was a little injured, unbad and underrated offensive line. Chuba Hubbard is a beast back there. He is a beast. He was one kind of coming into last season. I seen they had him kind of ranked high, and I was like, really? Because I had him in fantasy a couple years ago, and I was like, you know, like he's good, but I did not even think he'd crack top 15. I watched him last year. Absolutely deserves to be in it again, at least the top 15 for most people. He's in my top 10 million this year, especially with some guys coming back on the Panthers offensive line. They have a decent offensive line. I think Hubbard's going to be a threat back there for sure. Dude is very underrated, very good running back. Number 9, I have James Cook. Again, he had a really good year. He's just a hard runner. Like, you just watch him and you think he's going to go down, and then he just goes for 2 or 3 more yards. And again, this is a league of inches. When you're a guy who you can rely on to do stuff like that, you're going to crack the top 10 in lists like that. And he absolutely deserves it. Even though it pains me because he plays the Patriots twice a year and kicks their ass. You know, he deserves it, man. He really is a top 10 running back. I do have him at 9. And again, the running back list, I think, kind of like the quarterback list in some spots, is very interchangeable, especially the majority of the running back list. I did keep out Kyren Williams. His fumbling issues kind of worried me last year. And especially with Devontae and Puka, I think they're going to be throwing a lot more. So, you know, we'll see. But I do not have Kyren Williams on here, for anyone wondering. So 9, I have James Cook. 8, I have Josh Jacobs. They re-signed Zach Tom yesterday, I seen. Really big deal. There, he signed a big deal. I think it was like $80 million or something. Like, not too big, but that's not bad for an offensive lineman. But Josh Jacobs has been just very consistent over the last couple of years. The only thing that kind of worries me with him is his receiving touchdowns. He's not a great running back. I mean, obviously, you know, it really does count having a running back who can pass catch a little bit. He's not great in the red zone with it. It worries me a little bit. And, you know, we'll see. But I don't think he's going to be better than any of these guys I have coming up. Like, number 7, one of my breakout players coming up this year, Bucky Irving. I think Bucky Irving is going to be a star in that backfield for Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay just has so many weapons. They have so much to look out for. And that comes to Bucky Irving's advantage. I mean, you watched him last year. He's just quick. That dude takes off in like a second. It's crazy. I love watching him. He's elusive. He's fast. You know, all of a sudden you see this big group of guys, and Bucky Irving comes running out of the middle of it, sprinting down the field. It's, you know, I was debating on putting him higher. I think he's going to go for maybe 1,200-1,300 yards, maybe more than that. I really have him as a big breakout candidate. And if you are playing fantasy football this year, Bucky Irving's there in the 2nd or 3rd round, please snag him. Please. Dude, he's going to have a hell of a year, I promise. Number 6, I had Jonathan Taylor. It's not necessarily a Jonathan Taylor issue. It's just the Colts in general. It's just kind of worrying me a little bit. I think with Jones and Anthony Richardson, they'll run the ball a little more. They'll run the ball a little more, but the offensive line worries me a little bit. They're starting to age, and they're very spotty. They play good moments, and then they'll have games where they just play like ass. You know, like they really just don't play good. So, yeah, and he's on and off injured a lot. He's not getting older, but the injuries catch up. I watched him last year. Very good last year. That's why I still have him top 6. But the Colts worry me more than Jonathan Taylor. I think the team around them is just going to kind of hurt him a little bit. But again, all these guys you can flip-flop. Because 5, I have Christian McCaffrey, CMC, whatever you want to call him. The injuries worry me a little bit. If he can stay healthy, he could be top 3. But being top 5 is not a bad thing either. Again, the 49ers offensive line is a little iffy. Trent Williams is getting older, stuff like that. So, but again, if he stays healthy, McCaffrey will be very good. He'll still be top 5. But like I said, the injuries, I worry may slow down a little bit, but that's more just, we'll see when the season starts. Number 4, I have Bijan Robinson. Bijan is a dog. Dude is a dog. I love watching him back there. I think he's pretty underrated. I don't say that about a lot of players. I'm not going to say a lot of players, but some people would think I'd say it about. Bijan is still like 6 or 7 on a lot of people's top 100 list, or not, our top 10 list, excuse me. And I just, you have to watch him to really see how good he is. Maybe his stats don't necessarily. I mean, he had really good stats last year, a lot of yards from scrimmage. But, man, the quarterback play last year kind of hurt him with Kirk Cousins. They had that stretch that was just really bad. Him sharing with Tyler Algier a little bit kind of hurt him. But he's in for a hell of a year this year. And at 3, I have Derrick Henry. Again, you can switch Derrick Henry at all, or 3, 2, or 1. Again, age, he is aging a little bit, but the Ravens have a top tier offensive line. His age isn't going to, I think he's still going to rush for over 1,500 yards, 1,600. I think he'll be around the 1,500, 1,600 mark. So he'll still be a top 3 running back, but maybe the big bursts that he takes off for 80, 90-yard touchdowns, always gets 1 or 2 of those a year. He had one of them against the Bills last year. You might see less of those, I feel like, but, he's a beast, man. He's going to stay in 3. He's still going to push people out of the way, shove them to the ground, lift them up midair. He's still going to be a force to be reckoned with. 2, I had Jahmyr Gibbs. You just see it. He's so fast. He is so fast. He just, his pass catching ability too, out of the backfield, he gets just a gazillion touchdowns. Maybe without Ben Johnson, he may not get all the creative plays he had before out of the backfield, but he's just really good. And I'll tell you something too. I bashed the Lions taking Jahmyr Gibbs a few years ago. A lot of people did. I see some people rank that an F grade in the draft grades. A++. Jahmyr Gibbs has just proved everybody wrong, and I'm glad to be able to put him in the 2 spot because he definitely proved me wrong. The dude could maybe be number 1 later on this year. We'll see. But 1, I have Saquon Barkley coming off the year he had last year. Shows no signs of slowing down, even though he's not really old. But yeah, Saquon Barkley is just a freak of nature. The backwards hurdle, stuff like that. Winning the Super Bowl, just almost, he only almost broke the all-time rushing record in a season. He would have if he would have played Week 17. He's behind a juggernaut of an offensive line. If anything, I think he'll go for the rushing yards record this year. That's a tongue twister to say. I messed that up my last video saying that. That's my top 10 running backs coming into this season. I think that list is going to shift a lot. The running backs. I think you're going to see a lot of surprise running backs this year. I think Ashton Jeanty could be up there eventually. We'll see, though. But my top 10 receivers, number 10, a surprise pick. I have Marvin Harrison Jr., the most slept-on player going into the 2025 season. No talks about him. People forget about Maserati Marv, and I'm here to tell you, he will make you remember he's here for sure this year. You watched his highlights last year. I mean, he had some games where he had the 150 yards in the one game. Watch some of the game's highlights. I don't know where you necessarily go to search it up. Maybe you can just search up Kyler Murray versus Marvin Harrison wide open. I know every receiver has that moment. They're wide open for a big play, all that, and they don't get hit. I get it. Marvin Harrison probably had like 20 of them last year. Well, more than that, it was just he could have easily had over 1,200 yards, but Kyler Murray just literally can't see him because he's too short. And I'm not saying that to bash Kyler Murray. It's true. You know, that's been a thing about him for years, is that he can't see over his offensive line. And like I said, if Ladd McConkey and Marvin Harrison Jr. switched roles, Marvin Harrison last year would have probably had like 1,400 yards receiving, and it would be completely different for him. But people are already calling him a bust. Watch, this year, I bet the farm on it. Marvin Harrison Jr. will be top 10, if not higher than that. Higher than number 10. 9, I had Nico Collins. Man, people kind of forget about Nico Collins. He was injured a lot last year, so I get it. But he was on record pace last year. It was nuts. He was at like 600 yards in what I forget what week, but my God, he was on a tear last year. And I think Nico Collins again. They drafted those two receivers this year in the second round that are Isaiah Higgins, I think is his name. Correct me if I'm wrong, but him playing next to them is going to help a lot. CJ Stroud throwing me the ball really helps. Texans offensive line worries me a little bit, so I hope CJ Stroud's able to get the ball out to him. But yeah, Nico Collins, I think he's going to finish around 1,300 yards, 1,400 yards for sure. 8, I had Tyreek Hill. I was debating on putting him a little lower, but I'm going to give him another year. I know he did have 1,000 yards this year, but with Tua out and everything, Tyler Huntley playing and all, yeah, I can't really blame him. So, I mean, he's getting older. The thing about him is he's not a big physical guy. He fully relies on his speed. He has good hands. He makes crazy plays. I get it, but Tyreek Hill without his speed is going to move, you know, I don't know. It's something we're going to have to watch to see how that transitions. I think he has another year or two left, maybe. I'm going to give him another year to really, I'm not going to put him on the watch list yet, but I do have him at number 8. I think he's going to have a good year, though. Number 7, I have Puka Nacua. If he stays healthy, Stafford's healthy, Stafford doesn't show signs of slowing down, Nacua is probably going to have 1,500 yards. Again, a lot of it all comes down to health, and you can say that for pretty much every team, but, you know, Nacua, one thing that worries me a little bit with him is, again, I talked about it, is the whole thing with his girlfriend and like not know whether the kid is his or not. That puts a lot on a man's mind. I can only imagine. He already doesn't know if he wants to play till he's 30 anyway. Some injuries last year. So his mindset worries me a little bit. I think he'll be fine. I still have him number 7, but we'll see. Number 6, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Swiss Army knife. The man does everything. To be quite honest with you, I've had him in fantasy the last like 3 years, I think, or 2 years. He just does it all. He's a great receiver. I think he'll definitely go down as one of the top receivers of this decade, especially with Jared Goff. That team is so stacked. It's that even though they don't have Ben Johnson, that team is so stacked. So I was debating on flip-flopping him with number 5, Malik Neighbors. Again, a guy who had 1,200 yards and missed a decent bit of time, and was up there on some rookie receiving records. He's going to be great. Especially, I mean, I know the Giants quarterback room is like kind of all over the place with Winston. So if Winston's throwing the ball, he may go for 2,000 yards. Winston will just chuck 80-yard passes down there to him about every 2 plays. But again, even with Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart is, I don't know, I'm 50-50 on Jackson Dart. Honestly, we just kind of have to see him play, to be honest with you. I think he's going to go for, again, that 1,500 yard range. I think all these receivers in this clump are going to could be around the same range. So I think he's going to have a really good year. 4, I had A.J. Brown. Again, I was maybe debating on putting him a little lower, but A.J. Brown's statistics kind of went down a little bit because of how good Saquon Barkley is. and how many other weapons they have. Devontae Smith, even just having like Jahan Dotson as your number 3 is not something to complain about. Dallas Goedert, there's just so many people there. But you watch AJ Brown, he's dominant in the receiving game. He is literally dominant. He is just a force to be reckoned with. Massive human being. Yeah, I still have a number 4. Well, his statistics may not necessarily, again, I think he's only 1,300 yards or something. I mean, it's not like he has bad stats. He's just, it's sharing the ball with a lot of other people. It would be hard for anyone on here to really be able to go for 1,700 yards if you're sharing it with Saquon and Devontae Smith and, Jalen Hurts rushing for a bunch of touchdowns and yards. It's tough. But I still have him at 4. Trust me, I still recognize he's one of the top dogs. Number 3, I have CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee was dealing with some injuries last year. He was trying to pull through. In the last year, he just kind of gave it up. I don't blame him. The year was over anyway. CeeDee's going to be a consistent 1,400, 1,500 plus yard receiver every year. Dak coming back. I think he's going to go. My bold prediction, I think he's going to go for over 1,600 yards. I think he'll be around 1,700 actually. I know sharing it with Pickens, it's going to be a little tough, but I think that's going to take a lot of pressure off of him. He's doing all this, being the main guy. Like, he's kind of able to wash out Brandon Cooks. Really not no one else on the receiving core, so he's going to have some pressure taken off him for sure. So, yeah, I have CeeDee Lamb at 3, and I had 2. At number 2, I had Ja'Marr Chase. He's a Triple Crown winner this year, the best receiver in football last year. I think most of us could agree on that. A lot of people still switch Justin Jefferson, which I understand. While he may not have been there statistically, he's not Joe Burrow's not throwing the ball. Sam Darnold was good, but still, me and Joe Burrow. But Ja'Marr Chase at number 2. I think he could finish with another Triple Crown. He's going to finish with over 1,600 yards easily. I think he'll be over 17, maybe 1,800. He's smack dab in the prime of his career. I'd be surprised he goes for 1,800. He may go for the all-time receiving record this year. Any of these guys here could do that. It's just really bold to do so or to say so. But I think Ja'Marr Chase could absolutely do it this year. And number 1, I have Justin Jefferson. The only flaw with that is J.J. McCarthy. Nobody knows. We'll see. I'm not too high on J.J. McCarthy. I know I have Justin Jefferson 1 still. In terms of receivers, man, he's going to go down probably top 3 all time for receivers, at least in my opinion. Casey's on the start of his career is absolutely incredible. So I do have Justin Jefferson at 1. Again, you can flip-flop him and Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase 2, Justin Jefferson, or Ja'Marr Chase 1, Justin Jefferson 2. Even if you wanted to put CeeDee Lamb at 2, I wouldn't necessarily complain. I think they're all great. Although I just think Chase and Jefferson are just still in a league of their own. Those two are going to be top 10 all-timers on the pace they are for sure. Both of them may even be top 5 all time, seriously. So they're just that good right now. And my last one so far is my top 10 teams going into the NFL or the 2025 NFL season. Again, you guys get to pick out the next segment that I do for the rest of the season. Make sure to leave that in the comment section, whether it's edge rushers, highlight plays. It does not matter to me. I'll rank any of it. Just make sure it's something I can consistently rank throughout the season, week to week, and I'll be perfectly fine with doing it. Again, just make sure to comment it, and I'll be more than glad to do so. I can't wait to see what you guys choose. And at number 10, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, well, let me just say something before I get into my top 10. I'm going to say something because I know some people may think I'm nuts for not putting the Chargers in there. The Chargers have been getting a lot of press recently, especially with Harbaugh and people being high on Justin Herbert and their defense. They have a great squad. They do. They were just off my top 10 list. Mike Williams retiring again scares me going into the 2025 season. It scares me a little bit. They're going to have to go re-sign Keenan Allen. They're going to have to go do something like that. Get somebody, maybe try and make a trade at this point of the year. I don't know who they could trade for, but it's going to be about the same result last year. And at that point, I'm not seeing where I can be high on the Chargers. I think the Chargers, especially with the Broncos being competitive, even better than they were last year with their defense, the Chargers not having anyone to throw to, really, it's going to be tough. They have a great running back room. They have a great quarterback. They have a great offensive line. Joe Willock going into his second year. They don't have anyone to throw the ball to besides Ladd McConkey. Quentin Johnston's apparently having an awful training camp. He was running a route and completely misran it going into his third year. At this point, can you wonder if he'll get any better? So, I worry a little bit about the Chargers. The Chiefs, again, are always going to be competitive. The Raiders are even better than they were. So the Chargers just missed my top 10 list. I'm a little worried about it. But back to number 10, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, the Bucs are going to have a freaking loaded offense. They got guys to throw to everywhere, just everywhere. They can stay healthy. Mike Evans stays consistent. It's going to be a top 3 offense in the league. Tristan Wirfs will come back healthy. It's midway through the season, just about. So, again, Tampa's going to be a force again. Their secondary still worries me a little bit. Their defense, their pass rush is going to be good. Yeah, I think the Buccaneers will be in the playoffs. I have all these teams making the playoffs. 9, I have Denver. Denver made some significant improvements this year, even last year. I mean, think about where that team was 2 years ago, getting blown out. Like they let up 72 points to the Dolphins to now to where they're really looking like a top tier team. Not necessarily a Super Bowl team, but they could make a run in the playoffs. I don't see why they couldn't. I don't have them making the Super Bowl, but any team that makes the playoffs can make the Super Bowl for the most part. You have an outlier every now and then, but yeah, the Broncos defense, it's just nowhere I have to describe them. It's just going to be a violent team. Yeah, they're going to be really good. I think they're going to be competing for the AFC West division title. Really, that's what my hot takes. I really do. I think they're going to be that good, to be honest with you. 8, I have Green Bay. Green Bay's just really, really good. While they may not have guys you can point out like, oh, they have this guy, they have this guy, they have this guy, they're just so well-rounded. They have a great unit. They're going to have to go grab another cornerback for the secondary, I feel like, but yeah, their offense will be really good. Matt LaFleur, he's masterful running that offense, to be honest with you. He really is. And I don't see any signs of the Packers slowing down this year. 7, I have the Rams. The Rams offense, they stay healthy, are just going to be ridiculous. Adams, Nakua, Stafford throwing them the ball. They're probably going to be maybe going for all-time receiving records. You never know. Adams, I think, has another year or 2 left in the tank. So, yeah. And their defense is lightning fast. You watch them, they're just incredibly quick and young. Their defense is like, I don't know statistically what like the youngest defenses in the league are, but I know the Rams are one of them. If not the youngest defense in the league, they might be actually. I don't know. I think I've seen something on that. But yeah, the Rams can be really, really good. To be flopping them here or flip-flopping them here with the Commanders, I have it 6. The Commanders, I think, are going to be around the same record. They finished on a really good record last year. They surprised a lot of people, but now they're on people's radar. So now, they're not going to have the surprise element like they had last year. They're really going to have to go out and fight for it week to week. Not necessarily saying that they did last year, but they don't have that surprise factor anymore. Starting from week 1, the Commanders are going to be on everyone's checklist saying, we need to be ready to play this team. Again, not saying that they weren't last year, but you know what I mean. Again, I think the Debo acquisition was really good. People kind of harp on them for that, but I think it's going to be really good in the long run for him. Not in the long run, but for the short term here. 5, I have Detroit. No one's really talking about Detroit going into this year. Like Detroit had all that hype going into last year, respectable, but I get they lost Ben Johnson, they lost Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn's definitely replaceable. Ben Johnson's replaceable too, but again, I give Ben Johnson a lot of credit. The dude was just the operation he had running there was crazy. You have Dan Campbell running the team still. The energy he's going to bring to that team every week. He's risky. He goes out there. He doesn't care. He goes out there and pumps up his team every week. Again, Aaron Glenn, I give him a lot of credit for what he did with that injured defense. At some point, though, I mean, they're signing Jamal Adams off the chair, off the couch. It's tough. It's tough. And I give him a lot of credit, but I think they're both replaceable. I really do. I think they're still going to be a force to be reckoned with. You got Hutchinson coming back. Your offense is just as lethal as ever. Players going into their prime, and the only worry you may have is Jared Goff again in cold weather. It's never really known to perform well in cold weather, but they play in the dome. So, when they do get to the playoffs, they're just going to have to hope and pray that they don't end up playing in a place like Minnesota, whether Minnesota makes the playoffs or not. Because then they might be screwed. But even though they played the dome last year and lost. So, we'll see. 4, I have Kansas City. Kansas City might just take that little step back for me. Again, Kelce aging a decent bit, which again is still worrisome. Because Kelce did not really look good at all last year. Like I watched him, he did not look good last year. He didn't look like Travis Kelce. While he's still on those teams, would be very good. You have to compare him to where he's at. Top 3 tight end all time. He's just not there anymore. Rashee Rice, that whole situation is just a mess. Xavier Worthy, I think, again, is a really good receiver. I just think he's going to be very inconsistent. We'll see. I may be completely wrong, but that's just my opinion. Their defense is still going to play hard. Again, they're still a top 4 team. They're ranked number 4. It's not like I'm ranking them number 12 or something. Still going to be very good. Probably going to win the AFC West, but they have some competition in that division now for sure. And, it's not going to be a cakewalk like it has been the last couple of years. The Raiders are competitive now. The Broncos for sure are competitive. The Chargers are competitive as hell. They just missed the top 10. So yeah, it's gonna be tough for Kansas City. It's not gonna be easy like that. That's not to say that that's gonna be easy, but 3, I have Buffalo. Josh Allen smack dab in his prime. Sean McDermott. I think Sean McDermott, he might kind of be on the hot seat this year. I think, again, if they don't, I guess maybe if they don't make the AFC Championship, but if they don't make the Super Bowl, man, there's been talks about Sean McDermott going. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but they could bounce the wild card round or something. I think Sean McDermott might be gone. We'll see. Again, they got Cook, Allen. Allen, no matter who he's throwing to, is just going to make things happen. He's the man. Yeah, I got the Bills at 3. I think they'll be competing for the number 1 seed. Like number 2, I have Baltimore. I was going to put Baltimore number 1, but I think you guys probably know I have number 1 at this point. Number 2, and like I said, I have Baltimore. The acquisitions they made over the offseason, their draft. I have a Ravens and Eagles Super Bowl. I think Lamar's finally going to might get his ring this year. I actually had the Ravens winning the Super Bowl in my picks. Pains me to say, low-key, stabbed me in the chest. It's like a knife to the chest for me to say. Especially being a Patriots fan here in Baltimore. I'm sure you guys are very, very glad to hear me say that. I'm not biased here. But, they're just so loaded. That roster's ridiculous. Lamar in his prime. The receivers, they upgraded the receiving room. Zay Flowers is healthy. Yeah, that defense is going to be very good. Zach Orr finally came into his own at the end of last year. So, yeah. And at number 1, I have Philadelphia, who I was debating on putting 2, but I got to give some respect to the Super Bowl champions. And they still arguably have the best roster in the league. Them in Baltimore, to me, there's kind of no competition for the best rosters in the league. You can flip-flop with both. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to complain. But yeah, so the Eagles I have as my number one team in the NFL. To no surprise to most people. I think, again, them are the Ravens I have winning the Super Bowl for sure this year. And yeah, that is my top 10 teams going into the 2025 NFL season. And that'll be it for my rankings for my first top 10 Tuesday today. Thank you for everyone who came out and watched my top 10 Tuesday again. Make sure to leave those questions for Why Not Wednesday tomorrow. Answer them right here on the pod. As many questions as you guys have, I'll answer. And I can't wait for my first Why Not Wednesday. Why not answer any questions you guys have? And thank you guys for coming out and supporting me here on my first top 10 Tuesday. You guys are always so just make my day being here. Seriously, the support I've had over my first video the last couple of days has just been incredible. I can't thank you guys enough for being here. Support me. And again, I do daily uploads here on weekdays on the Talk of the Town podcast. So yeah, that is it for this episode. I hope everyone has a great, blessed day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next one.